Hey, have you seen them? They seem like they're everywhere. I mean, you can look at them in big places, little places. They seem like they're all over the place, particularly when you pull up your social media feed. It's time to stop the Tik Tok Docs.
Hey guys, this is Janae Noonan, and I'm here with Dr. Jarrett on License to Live. Hit the subscribe, follow the journey. Let's go.
Welcome to the Licensed to Live show, where professionals, doctors, champions, VIPs, attorneys, and those in public office discover strategies that help you restart and gain what is lost when you find yourself accused. If another has doubted your integrity, questioned your credentials, or caused your actions to come under scrutiny, you are in the right place. On the other hand, if you have never felt the knot in the pit of your stomach when legal papers are served, the heartbreak of disappointing your family when the lock clicks shut on handcuffs, or had to appear before a board of review, then be aware, the longer you serve, the more likely you are to find yourself under the microscope of those who judge. Prepare yourself for this uncomfortable possibility. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jarrett Patton.
Welcome to episode 174 of License to Live. My name is Dr. Jarrett Patton, and I'm your host for our journey together today and every day you choose to listen to this show. If you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Just go to any podcast player, Google, Apple, I don't care where you go, iHeartRadio, hit subscribe when you listen to the License to Live show. And while you're there, please rate this episode and give me honest feedback so I make sure I provide you with the most up-to-date information about career challenges and life changes. When I say dissed, I mean displaced. Like, I can't believe that I was let go after I worked so hard for this place. Disgruntled. Like, I have to see how many people today and tomorrow and the weekend and still no overtime, no hazard pay, or disenfranchised, like I was when I had my medical license temporarily suspended. Hey, today is all about stopping the Tik Tok Docs. There's so many docs out there on TikTok doing, all types of things. Now, the one I'm focusing on are the ones that have lost their career or suddenly had their whole lives turned upside down on TikTok. Now, because there are a lot of people out there doing great things on social media. And we've talked about it before. We've had lots of experts come in. You've even heard from Dr. Donna Coriel a few times on this show. There are a lot of good things about social media and TikTok, but too many people's careers are getting ruined over this, and we have to put a stop to it. So we will talk about some of the most recent examples of people that have lost their jobs over TikTok particularly. And then there'll be some things that you should do and shouldn't do. And we'll wrap it up all in this episode right after we finish thanking our sponsors.
Something smells good. EH3 coffee. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. Nothing better than waking up. EH3 in your cup. Premium organic. Nothing better than in the middle of your day. EH3 coffee. Premium organic. EH3 coffee.
Hey, this is Dr. Jarrett Patton. Do you need more positivity in your life? No matter what part of your life you want to transform, positive affirmations can help you achieve your goals. But sometimes making permanent changes can be difficult. Designed with you in mind, License to Live, daily affirmations to rebuild your life will inspire and equip you to become the best version of yourself. License to Live, daily affirmations to rebuild your life will set you on the path to changing your mindset, beliefs, speech, and ultimately your actions. You can change your life now by getting your copy at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your finer book retails, or licensedtolive.com. That's licensedtolive.com. I had a strategy session just the other day that had, it's one thing to kind of hear where people are in their career, hear where they want to go, and try to give them the first steps to get in that next direction. And I love doing that because I get to meet people and there's no obligation to it. It's simply giving a little bit of insight on things you can do right now to make your career better, which will make your life better. And this particular one, we were having a conversation and people were wanting to go up the corporate ladder, and we talked about some approaches. And I gave some of my own personal insight to what it looks like at the top when you're hanging out in that C-suite with lots of people doing these things. And for me, it was also eye-opening because it took me back to those days when I was a hospital executive. I was an administrator and doing a lot of these things in which you can do a lot of good for a lot of people. So wherever you are on your journey, you owe it to yourself. Just give me a call. We'll sit down. We'll talk. Go to timewithdrjarrett.com. I mean, so we're talking about TikTok Docs today. And I remember this particular day like it was any other day. I was simply doing a lot of work. I was doing administrative duties almost all that entire day. And one of the meetings I had that day was with a hospital lawyer that I often met with. And he just came into my office that particular day, looked exceptionally exasperated, gave a sigh and said, Jarrett, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're under investigation. I was very confused when I heard this. I didn't know what he was talking about, but he opened up his laptop and started showing me Facebook. And at that time, I wasn't on social media. I didn't like social media. I thought it was no need to be on social media. So how am I getting brought into a social media scandal? Well, yes, it did lead to the downfall as my career that I once knew it, but it took me on a whole license to live journey. That's the license to live journey that it culminates with us being in this same space today. So it's a journey I wouldn't take back. It's certainly a journey I never would have planned for myself. But all of these things started with social media. And this is what I want you guys to understand today. There are lots of good things that can come out of delivering a message or giving a speech or just trying to give general advice that is not necessarily medical or directed at someone, but it's something that could help somebody along the way. And there are a lot of people who are out there doing this very well. They are looking at their messaging. They're talking about certain topics. They are trying to uplift people's health, their mental spirits, lots of things that are going on at this time. And at the same time, there are a lot of docs out here that are doing things that are getting them in trouble. And I want you to understand how serious this is. I mean, let's first just look at it. I mean, people want to be dancing around and shaking their butts and shucking and jiving. You know, whatever happened to doing that stuff in a club and just going out, having fun with your friends and doing all that in a club? Leave it out there on the dance floor and coming back. But somewhere along the line, people decided that that's the right thing to do on social media. And so whether it's, 9:00 on a Friday or, noon on a Tuesday, people have access to that kind of stuff. Now, I don't do that much dancing and I certainly am not shaking my butt around there, but a lot of people are out there doing these types of things on social media. So that's fine. To each their own. I'm not knocking it. There's nothing wrong with that. But when a lot of people start to do these types of things, they realize that, dancing and shucking and jiving may get them a few likes here and there in the beginning, and it seems like it's going good. But then they realize they have to do something more outrageous or more outlandish to continue to get more likes and more notoriety on here. And if you guys have ever checked out the Who's Badass Kids Are Those podcast, it's one that I only, so don't go looking in your podcast player right now. It's not going to be there. I exclusively deliver the Who's Badass Kids Are Those podcast on Facebook. And it's only on Facebook. Yeah, you have to go to my Dr. Jarrett page, and you can find me on all social media at Dr. Jarrett. Spell out the word Dr. J-A-2-R-E-1-T. But I actually gave some parenting advice because there were some parents that recently got in trouble for YouTubing their children's behavior and YouTubing the parental discipline actions in their behavior. And all of those things started adding up to the point where, it ended up in some child protective issues, and an arrest was made. And there's a long saga behind that. It's not to tell this point. The point is people are getting in trouble on social media, no matter what they're trying to do. So, of course, good things come out of social media. When people are using social media, you get great creativity. And for those of you, particularly who are doctors, nurses, healthcare executives, you have to use a lot of linear thought, a lot of thought that goes inside the box. And you can't necessarily use your creativity and get it outside the box. So, being on social media, being creative, being innovative is a good thing. You can use social media to spread a message, like a public health message, like, oh, this is how you wear your mask, not like this. Oh, did you know COVID is still here? Maybe time to mask up again. And you go through and have a lot of great things there. There's lots of other great examples of people who use it to educate. So you're just running an educational program on social media. And I consider myself the same way. That's why I have this License to Live podcast. This is why I run a number of educational programs as well. And I'm doing this as a service. So yeah, whether I get 20 listens to this episode, 200 listens to this episode, or 25,000 listens to this episode, that is not my true motivation. So if there are only 20 people listening out here, I'm creating that episode for you 20 people. I am trying to deliver a service, which is why you'll see me on social media. It's, a way I can put some things out there so people can learn a little bit about my brand and where it belongs. And, speaking of my brand, this whole License to Live brand, by the way, is federally trademarked. I want all of you guys to know it's federally trademarked. I've talked to you time and time again about protecting your intellectual property. And yes, the whole License to Live, R with a circle around it, federally registered trademark in a couple of different categories. That covers my series of books, that covers entertainment like this podcast, or License to Live, the conference. So anytime you see Licensed to Live, that is my brand, that is my trademark. And I will protect it just in case there's some people who are interested in it. But leaving all that aside, let's get back to those shucking and jiving, dancing in the OR Tik Tok Docs, because, that's what we're talking about. We've seen them fall before. We're seeing them fall again. And unfortunately, Dr. Roxy was one of the latest victims. It seems like when you have the combination of TikTok, a doctor who is a surgeon in an operating room, sometimes they can't help themselves. So they end up getting in trouble in any number of ways. So just because your patient is asleep on the table, don't think you can start dancing, singing a song, breaking out into your favorite show tunes, and then continuing on with the surgery, and then maybe go educate on how you do this particular type of surgery or something else. Look, people out there are going to see this stuff. That's the biggest thing. Your privacy gets invaded on social media. So you have always have to use a little bit of caution when you are thinking about putting things up on social media that will make your life better and lots of other people's lives better. So this gets to my first point when you're thinking about doing this type of thing before we have to stop the TikTok docs. And if you know any TikTok docs, please tell them to listen to this episode because they may be setting themselves up for a disaster. And now that I've seen it happen a few times, I really don't want this to happen to other people. So remember the number one reason why you want to take your show onto social media. Just ask yourself why every single time. And if why is to educate people, if your why is to show people that there's a different side to this, if your why is I want to help people, you'll probably be doing okay. If your why becomes I want 2 million YouTube followers, your why becomes I want to see 6K views on this video I'm going to put up, or your why becomes somehow attached to a social media metric. Stop. That's why we must stop the TikTok docs. And I'll tell you what else you can do right after we finish thanking our sponsor.
The time is now to refresh your career. We help doctors, lawyers, executives, and VIPs refresh and restart. Dr. Jarrett's coaching helps you build confidence, gain more credibility, develop more leadership skills, and gain clarity in your career path. Want to climb the executive ladder or branch out on your own? We'll put your career in overdrive. Visit drjarrett.com and sign up for your free strategy session.
Now that you guys understand why you're doing this and taking this to social media, you're understanding how you may do it. You're thinking, okay, if it's about my kids, there's certain laws about kids on social media I need to make sure I'm doing. I need to get consents. Maybe even if they're your own children, you may need to get consents depending on the state you're in. If this is anything patient related, which it's probably just safer not to have anything regarding your patients on social media, because that all too quickly gets right back to whoever started it and people get in trouble. You remember that HIPAA thing? People are losing their medical licenses over this stuff. That's why I'm talking about it today, folks. So use your head in this. And if HIPAA has to be involved in this, then go for it. Now, you can get special consents. You can get consents even from your patients if you want them to go on there and say something. Even if you want to demonstrate how you do a surgery, there's certain ways you can get your patients to be a part of this and they can volunteer and all of these types of things. But if you were just saying, well, they're asleep, they can't consent, or they're, not in the best state of mind right now, let's just go ahead and start rolling anyway. Boy, you are in for a world of trouble. So the way you keep yourself out of trouble is to ask yourself why. Ask yourself why every single time. Number 2, get the proper authorization, whether you need consent because it's a minor that you have involved in this, whether you need consent because it's a patient that's involved in this. You may need some type of additional authorization, especially if you're going to be using this as a teaching or instructional video, or even if it's something you're going to sell. You may need to actually hire the actors that are going to be in your film. So let's think about all of these things. So you've got to ask yourself why. You've got to make sure you're getting the proper authorizations. And then if any of it at any point makes you second guess yourself for doing this, make sure you are asking someone else. Get an opinion. Take a friend, a colleague, a trusted advisor, a coach. I don't care who you take. Bring it in and say, hey, number 1, am I airing dirty laundry in this video? Or am I doing something that 5 years from now, I'm going to regret that I ever did? That is probably your signal to just stop it right where it is, go back to the drawing board and figure out another plan, because these are the things that get people in trouble. And we've seen too many TikTok docs lose their license, even though they started it for some good reasons. And they started doing it because they wanted to show something or educate or whatever their altruistic goal was. But then that goal changed. And then it went from, oh, I want to do this to help people, to I want 2 million views. I want 50 million followers. I want to be the most popular doc on TikTok. Now, of course, there's money that gets tied to it. You start getting lots of views, the advertisers come on, and there's all types of other reasons for this. And guess what? In a courtroom, it doesn't matter if those things are true or not. Somebody on the opposite side of you is going to be saying, yes, it's true. And they're going to tell a story as to why it's true. And then you have to leave it up to a judge and jury to understand this. Trust me, I've been in enough courtrooms to know that everything that goes on in there is not about truth or fiction or innocent or guilty. It really gets back to storytelling and people putting together a story that is believable. And that's oftentimes enough to start that downfall in your own career. And I certainly don't want that to happen to you guys. So there's nothing wrong with being out on social media, but I'm just saying use it with caution. If you're using parents or children or doing some outlandish things, yeah, you may be famous for 15 minutes, but then you may go to jail. It is simply not worth it. I'm urging all of you guys today, before we wrap up this episode, if you know a TikTok doc and they are getting out of control and they are doing more and more outlandish things, it's time for the intervention. Reach out to them, tell them, hey, it's going to be okay, but you got to stop the TikTok. Remember, fire starters, if you or anyone you know has been dissed in their career, please invite them to join us along this journey. Just go to your favorite podcast player and hit subscribe to Licensed to Live. And while you're there, please rate this episode and give me honest feedback so I make sure I provide you with the most up-to-date information about career challenges and life changes. Make sure you connect with me in between episodes. Yeah, as much as I talked about social media on this episode, you will find me on all social media except TikTok at Dr. Jarrett. Spell out the word Dr. J-A 2 R's E 1 T. And we will see you next time.
No matter how disheartening the moment of accusation sounds, how deep the pain of immobilization stabs, or how bleak your future looks, no one can take away your license to live. Keep Dr. Jarrett's expertise handy and unlock your future. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or another podcast player and subscribe right now to Licensed to Live. See you next time.